world in a place that we don't understand, but to believe and to strengthen this emunah within us, to be able to overcome our natural tendencies to judge and to become stuck and perhaps complacent if things are going good, and if one is blessed with abundance and sustenance and everything like that. So then a person could be complacent and actually not explore, their life, deeper. That's the whole reason why we were created. We were put in this world to deepen our emunah and to know the leis atar panumine, that there's no place that is void, that is a way that does not exist besides Hashem. Ubeor pnei melechayim, and with the light of seeing the king, one has life. And this is an expression. It's brought in the Talmud that when a person that was judged, to be put to death, in the olden days, if they saw the king, they were absolved and they got their life back. So just by seeing the king. So if the king happens to walk past the jail that they're in, and this person peeks at the jail, and he says, "Oh, I saw the king," bing, and he presses the button, and they say, "Oh, you're out. You got your life back." And the Alter Rebbe borrows this expression to say that when we look at the king and we look at the face of the king, and this means what is the inner message and what is the inner desire of the king over here, and that's Hashem, right? That's the divine, is that we should not look at what's going on the side and be sidetracked, but look at the source and look at where at the nature of the source, and thereby everything that comes down as a result is all positive and it is all good. So if you thought that was not just amazing enough, just in it of itself, we could just pause there and really just think about this concept, and we need to do that. The Alter Rebbe continues, and therefore one must do the following. He says, Reishi Sakol, the beginning. He says, drop everything. What you need to do first, Sheyismach Adam. A person needs to be happy, needs to be besimcha. V'yagel, and needs to rejoice. B'chol eit v'shah, every single moment. V'yichye mamish ve'emunaso ba'Hashem ha'mechaye u'meitiv imo b'chol rega. A person needs to live every moment with this emunah, that God is giving us a gift every single second and is giving us goodness every single second. And that is the bestowal of having life, of having another moment. Another moment was created and we're in the picture, and that means that life is good. And if that's the case, I'm getting a gift, a direct gift, and it's just like expressed to me right this moment. So then what do I do about that? So if I'm sad and I'm depressed that I don't have and I don't this, that, and that, so then I'm missing the whole picture. I'm missing the whole point. I need to, first of all, that's what he says, I need to drop everything and just be happy. We need to be happy, because without joy, without coming out of myself and actually rising above this tendency to be depressed and tendency to be jealous and everything like that, then I'm elevated to the state of going beyond myself. And that could only be accessed through what we call simcha, through joy. And he says, therefore, and if somebody's a little bit sad even, and he's thinking, God, we kind of made a mistake over there. You should have given me this. God, that should have happened. This should have been. He says, if you're thinking that, he says, it's like you're a kofar. Kofar means like, it's basically a heretic, somebody that doesn't really have belief. Somebody that really doesn't have a, belief in God. And he says God doesn't exist. So it's like you're basically saying that on a subtle level. You're saying God doesn't exist. When you're saying, well, you made a typo over there, it should have been this, and instead you gave me that. It's like you're saying that God doesn't exist. If God recreates the world every single second and God constantly gives good, so how could God make a mistake in the situation that you are presently in its totality? So even on a minute level, if we're doubting that we're there for a reason, then it's as if we're denying the existence of God. And that is the reason, and that is the reason why the Kabbalists, Chachmei Emes, are called the masters of truth, or the wise men of truth, right? And according to Kabbalah, one of the worst things a person could do is be sad and be depressed. Because if you're sad and you're depressed, as smart as you are, and as much as you know, you're far, far, far away from God. And you're far away from the source. Because you're denying the source. But he continues, but the person who is a believer, the person that has the belief, lo yachush mishum isurim ba'olam, will not be weary from any forms of negativity in the world that is thrown at him. Uvechol inyanei olam, in all matters of the world, hein v'lav shavim, yes and no are equal. All right, going back to what the Baal Shem Tov said. Yes and no, good and bad, are the same. A person has or a person doesn't have. It's the same person. Like it says about King David. It says, who David? That he is David. He's the same David when he was the king as he was when he was a shepherd. Right? And many of the sages are also referred to in that way. That after they rose to a place of importance, a place of plentiful, right, and of power and things like that, King David remained the same King David. He was still a shepherd, because Hein and Lav Shavim, it's the same reality. There's no difference, because there's only one reality, and that is that the world is recreated every single second. The reality now that I'm a king, okay, that's the reality that the divine wanted me to be in. And it's really the same reality that God wanted me to be in when I was a shepherd. And I had to, walk around with sheep all day and tend them. It's lo bashva amitis, umisha ein shavin lo, and somebody that it's not equal by him, mare be'atzmo, he shows himself to be shu me'erev rav, that he is actually not a truly developed soul. And it's in Erev Rav refers to a soul of basically a soul that comes from a negative place. The legarmayu avdin, and their Erev Rav wanted to do everything for themselves, and they're egocentric and they're ego based, and they ve'ohev et atzmo, and he loves himself. Latzet mitachat yad Hashem, because the main thing in their lives is me. So if the main thing in life is me, is I, is the ego, so then how am I not going to be depressed? How is it possible not to be depressed if it's about me, right? And this is like really what we're seeing in society around us, and we're called the I generation, that it's about me. And feed me and fast food me and quick this and quick that, and everything has to be just and I think slowly we're waking up, and we're actually coming out of that. We're coming out of that, and we're realizing how much could it just be me all the time. It's just not only does it get boring, but it but I self-destruct. I implode. It's impossible to become so ego driven that now, I mean, we're seeing actually, a newfound fascination with a new type of consciousness, which is coming down in the world, and which Hasidus and Kabbalah teaches is what is the key to bringing the inner redemption and the redemption of the world. And this is, by the way, why we're meeting over here online over here, because part of this is exactly this, conveying these ideas to the I generations through using our sophisticated phones and iPhones and iPads and everything, but using all that to actually realize, well, there's something beyond that, and I have to transmit godliness through my device and through my all these channels, because that's the whole reason that they were created, and that's the reason why we were created. And if I'm just doing it for the I, so the Alter Rebbe is saying, I'm essentially I'm a blemished. It's a blemished type of a soul, and they're called the Erev Ra. And that is why this person just cares about them, the I, because that's what he prefers. This person just prefers to be stuffed and to be given and to, right? He says, "V'noach lo shelo nivra," and it is actually better that this person wasn't created. He says, it's better off if you just if you were not in this world, if you weren't created, because now that you're in this world to recognize that why you're in this world, recognize what is your potential, what are you here for, and you're not here for just yourself. Ki ikar brias Adam, because the whole reason why man was created, ba'olam hazeh, in this world, u'mishvil nasoto b'nisyonos elo, is in order to test the person with these tests. V'ladat et asher belvavo, and to know what is in his heart. Im yifne levavo, if his heart will sway, achrei Elohim achreim, after foreign gods, shem taivus saguf, which are the desires of the body, which descend down from the sitra achra, from the other side, and that is what he cares for. Or is his real desire to receive from the source of life, which is that fountain head of life, and that's where the person draws their life force from. So let me just explain a couple of these words. The word for sitra achra means the other side. Means Tanya explains it in other chapters, that other side means anything which is not focused solely on the source and the true source. In other words, being completely straightforward, zoned to the inner mission and to the inner meaning of my life, and that's everything else is called sitra achra, comes from the other side. Now the sitra achra, is actually likened to the husk or shell of a fruit. And just like a person, when they want to eat an orange, they want to eat the fruit, and they just have to peel the peels, right? So the sitra achra, what we call the klipa, the shell, the externality, is also that parable of externality is also within the world, within the spiritual world, but also within the physical world, where there's the externality, and a person gets stuck in the externalities of the world. Could get stuck in everything that everything that really that society throws at us as being beautiful, as being real, as being good, as being bad, and the media, right, constantly does that, and that's all the klipa. That's all the externality. But the main thing is to be focused on the fruit. That's really what it's all about. That's why you're eating this fruit. So too, it says, if a person just cares about the external gratifications and the bodily, just the physical gratifications that a person receives, on the level of a person wants to have children, so for themselves, because they want to dress up the kids and they want to have pictures with them, and they want to, and they want them, they want them to listen, and they want them to do all these things. So then that's not necessarily coming from a great place. But if a person's having children in order for them, in order for them to develop and to grow and to become giving human beings and connected human beings, and etc. So then that's coming from a good place. Same thing with money, with riches and everything like that. A person could have plenty, and it's not a contradiction not to have. But why do we have that plenty? Is the plenty coming down as an expression of godliness, of goodness, that's coming from the source, from the divine, or is it just coming for me to put more money in the IRA accounts and to put more in savings and more in that, and so I could keep on amassing wealth? And why do I have health? Health also, we're in this world. Why do we have our health? And we should all have our health till 120. In order to be strong, in order to be proactive, in order to bring down the divine will in this world. And if a person is just working out in order to flex up their muscles and to just like to look good and to flaunt them, their body, so then that's really connecting to the externality. Doesn't mean that a person can't have a strong body and a healthy body and everything like that. Just the opposite. We're meant to have that. But if the external purpose is what we're driven by, so then that's called sitra achra. It's called the other side. So he continues, V'yamin, and a person should believe shebe'emes, that the truth is hu chai behem, that actually the truth is that a person lives not from the sitra achra, but a person gains their life from the side of life, from the place of life, from the place of goodness, from the place of the divine goodness, which is the source of everything. And all of a person's details, down to the most minute point, comes not from the other side, but it comes from the divine will, that this is actually coming down to me, and this is where I am, and I'm in this place in this time, born to these parents, right? I have these children. This is my spouse. This is where I am. This is my job. This is right, etc. That because the footsteps of man are directed from God. And like King David says, King David says, what word do I have that you didn't already know that I was going to say? In other words, you set up the words. You taught me how to speak. You taught me how to formulate these words. You taught me what the words mean. So God orchestrates everything down to the most minute. Even the words which are being conveyed because of God. V'im kain, and if that's the case, hakol tov, so that the truth is everything is really all good. So that expression, it's all good, where does it come from? It comes from here. It's all good. Hakol tov b'tachlis. Everything is not just good, but it's completely good. Rakshe'eno musag, the only thing is that it's not understood. You can't rationalize it. You can't really understand it, right? So So those hippies actually had something kind of real, and these right that we're saying that that it's all good. But of course, once we learn the Tanya and we learn the inner aspects of Torah, we could connect on a deeper level of saying why it's all good. We don't have to actually quiet our minds to say, oh, it's not, or avoiding our situations, but we could face our situations and realize that it's all good, despite our situation, and not just despite, that situation is the all goodness in truth. It's only not understood. And in this belief, now the Alter Rebbe gives us a tremendous tool. When a person has this mind frame, this positive mind frame, the truth is that everything turns out to become good. This positive way of thinking, that it's all good, breeds and gives birth to everything actually becoming transformed, to becoming good in a revealed way, gam begilui, in a clear way. Shebe'emuna zu, that in this emuna shemamin, that a person believes shara, that the bad hanid begilui, that appears externally, kol chayuto matov ha'elyon, that all of that life force comes from the higher good, from the divine goodness, shi chochmato yizbarach, which is the wisdom of the divine, she'ena musaget, which is not understood, via Eden, and again that is the level of Eden, of paradise, and that's the level of that beginning of all goodness, shelamayla me'olam haba, which is above the next world. Behold, with this emunah, nichlal umit'ale be'emet hara medume betova elyon aganus. So then everything actually becomes transformed completely to become good in a revealed way. So the positive thinking transforms the reality. Why? Because the reality isn't reality as the way we saw it. It's not a real reality. It's a mistaken reality. We look at the reality and we're thinking that this is good and that's bad. The reality is that everything comes down, everything that comes from the source, and everything comes from the source, it's all good. It appears that it may not be good, but through our concentrated effort of viewing everything in a positive way, we actually attribute this quote-unquote negative place to become transformed into positive, and to actually bring down positive goodness in a revealed way to us in our lives.